Good morning, children. Today we will discuss about the process of condensation. So, what is condensation? It is nothing but it is opposite to the evaporation. In our previous class, we learned about the uh, evaporation. Now, let us see what is meant by condensation. So, opposite to the evaporation is the process of condensation. What happens to the water vapor which goes into the air? This comes back to the earth. This is called condensation of water. So, because of the excess heat of the sun, whatever the water is there in the ponds, lakes, okay, rivers, the water will get evaporated. So, after going up in the sky, and the water that will cool down and becomes cool, and we'll get that in the form of rain. So that is called condensation of water. The water vapor in the atmosphere comes back on the earth in many different forms as shown below. So as I said, the water vapor in the atmosphere again comes back to the earth. Okay. So it comes back on the earth in different forms. Now let us see what are those forms. See now the rain. So first thing is the rain. The water vapor condenses and falls to the ground as rain in the form of tiny droplets of water. So whenever due to the excess heat, the water which is there in the ponds and lakes that gets evaporated, that goes up. Okay, and that is the evaporation. Now the water vapor condenses and falls onto the ground as rain in the form of tiny droplets of water. Now dewdrops. What are the dewdrops? On cold mornings, water vapor condenses on the surfaces like plants, leaves and grass and forms dewdrops. So the excess of water, which is the water vapor which is there in the atmosphere, that comes down in different forms. The first thing is it comes down in the form of rain. The next thing is dewdrop. See, when you get up early in the morning, you can observe the water vapor which is condenses on surfaces like plants, leaves and grass. You can see the dewdrops, small dewdrops. So that is also whatever the water vapor is there in the air that comes down. Okay. And next fog. In very cold weather, water vapor condenses on the dust particles close to the ground and forms fog. So this is another form of water vapor, how it comes on the earth. So in very cold weather, water vapor condenses on the dust particles which are close to the ground and forms as a fog. So there is a tiny difference between all those things. So what are the dewdrops means? You can see the water droplets. That is the dewdrops. And when comes to that of the fog, so what is the fog? The water vapor which condenses that will be accumulated on the dust particles. So that's why how we can see that fog. It is like clumsiness. Okay. So it is mostly it is accumulated on the dust particles. So because of that we can see the fog. Okay. And next is frost. Water vapor freezes on cold objects into ice crystals in very cold nights. Next comes of the frost. So what is the frost? So water vapor freezes on cold objects. See, you might have listened this word frost, defrost. Okay, frost free refrigerator will say. So what is meant by frost free? So frost free in the sense means it is like ice is formed. Okay, frost. So when the water freezes, you can see that frost. So water vapor freezes on cold objects into icy crystals in a very cold night. So that is called the frost. You can observe this type of things in a very cold region. So when you go to America and all there, you can observe such type of weather. So there we can see the frost everywhere outside. Okay. And next is snow. In very cold places, water freezes and forms as a snow. Okay. And this happens because of extremely cold weather. Snow is frozen water vapor. So water vapor that comes down in the form of rain, in the form of dew drops, and it is in the form of frost, and now it is in the form of snow also. Okay. So in different ways, water vapor will come on the earth. Okay, it comes back on the earth. Whatever the water is there in the lakes and ponds, that is evaporated due to the excess heat of the sun. And after, when it becomes cool, it comes down on the earth in different forms. So that is in the form of this frost, snow, rain, okay, dew drops and all. Water now, coming to the water cycle. So what is the water cycle? So till now we have seen that the water which is there in the ponds and lakes, due to the excess heat of the sun, it gets evaporated. And again it comes down in the form of rain. That is only called water cycle. Now let us see. In nature, the process of evaporation and condensation takes place continuously. The sun's heat evaporates water from the ponds, lakes, streams, and rivers. See, in this picture, you can see what is there here? Sun. And next, what is there here? Water in the pond. So, because of the excess heat of the sun, see the sun rays, they are coming down. Okay. And because of the heat of the sun, the water which is there in the ponds and lakes, that goes up. That is evaporated. Okay. And after evaporating, it forms as a cloud. So when the clouds becomes bigger and bigger, okay, they can't bear that water vapor which is there in them. So after some time, when they go up, they become cool. At that time, they condenses, and again we get that water vapor in the form of rain. Again, it will come back on the earth. Okay, so this process is called the water cycle. Now, let us see the oceans and other water bodies. So, whatever the water is there, that will be get condensed. See, the oceans and other water bodies. The water vapor rises high into the air, and when it reaches very high, it condenses into tiny droplets of water. These droplets and they are joined together to form as a cloud. When the clouds cool and become heavy to stay in the sky, and they fall down as rain. Thus, water comes back into the water bodies like rivers, lakes, and oceans. This continuous process is known as the water cycle. So, daily, due to the excess heat of the sun or because of the rays of the sun, when it falls on the water bodies, it gets evaporated. And after going up high, they become as a cloud. So when the clouds become very bigger, they can't bear the water vapor which is there inside them. Then that will be fall down as a rain. So this process is called the water cycle. So how we are getting rains and all? Because of this water cycle only. This is a continuous process which keeps on going. Okay, keeps on continuing. Now let us see what is the purification of water. So till now we have seen how we get the rain and all. So now how we have to, so where we are getting the water? Means we are getting the water from the water bodies like ponds, rivers and all. So whatever the water now we are getting, that is from the these ponds, lakes and rivers. But the water which is there in that, is it purified water? No, we have to clean the water. We have to purify the water. So what is the process which is involved in the purification of the water? How we have to clean the water? So how we have to make that water as a drinkable? Okay. Now let us see. The water in wells and rivers is impure. The impurities of waters are of two types. They are insoluble impurities and soluble impurities. The soluble substances are these dissolve in water like salt. Insoluble substances are those that do not dissolve in water. So we can clean water and make it safe for drinking. We use the following purification methods. So the impurities of water is of two types, that is insoluble impurities and soluble impurities. The soluble means which are mixed in a water, they are soluble, and insoluble means they won't mix up in the water. So what are the soluble impurities and what are the insoluble impurities, and how the soluble impurities they will dissolve in water. Okay, so what are the examples? What are the insoluble impurities? Now let us see. For example, if you take sugar and salt, when you mix up them in the water, can you see them? No. So these are, we can say that they will dissolve in the water. So they are the soluble things. And next, insoluble substances are those that do not dissolve in water. Okay, so we can clean water and make it safe for drinking. We use the following purification method. So when you mix up a sand in the water, will it soluble in the water? The mud, the no. So we have to eliminate those things which are the impurities are there. So there is a process which is involved to clean the water. Now let us see that process. So what that process is called? It is called sedimentation and decantation. They are the various steps which are involved in cleaning the water. So how we can clean the water? That comes under this. Now see, what is sedimentation and decantation? Let water stand for some time. Impurities heavier than water will settle at the bottom of the water. It is called sedimentation. Now slowly pour out this water into the water, another vessel. This is called decantation. So how you can make the impurities? Okay, how you can clean the water. Now see, let water stand for some time. Impurities heavier than the water will settle at the bottom of the water. So whenever any impurities are there, so after filling the water in the buckets or the cans, wherever you will keep, so you have to keep them constant in one place. So what will happen? Whatever the dust particles which are there in that comes down. They will be settled at the bottom of that can or whatever you are taking in that vessel. Now slowly pour out this clear water into another. See, you can see in this picture. So first they have filled that water. After that, whatever the impurities are there, they settle at the bottom of that. Now you have to pour the water which comes up, so that whatever the dust particles, the sediment is there, that will be settled at the bottom of that the can, whatever the vessel you are taking. Okay, this process is called sedimentation and decantation. So what are the sediment means? The impurities which will settle at the bottom of the vessel. They are called sediments. So this process is called sedimentation. And taking the fresh water which comes up in the vessel and taking that into the, pouring that into the another vessel. That is called decantation. Means you are changing the water. Okay. Decantation. From one can to you are taking that in the another. So decantation. Now let us see what is filtration. This is another process of purification. At home while pouring the tea, you filter it through a strainer. For this we can use a clean piece of cloth. In school laboratory, students use filter paper to remove insoluble impurities from liquids. Now see what is filtration. So you know how to make a tea. So whenever we are making tea, whatever the tea dust powder will be there, how we can make that differentiate from the tea. So after preparing the tea, we will take one filter and we will pour that into the cup which you want to drink. Okay. So for that process, you make use of one filter. So that is called filtration. So when you do that, whatever the tea which is required by you, that you can pour in that cup, and whatever the dust is there, the tea dust, that will be retained in that filter. See, this is another process of filtration at home. While pouring tea, you filter it through a strainer. We make use of this strainer. See, this is called strainer. And for this, we can use clean piece of cloth. So nowadays, we are getting this strainers and all. But in the previous days, in the ancient times, they don't have all those things like the strainer and all. So how the people, they used to clean the water and all, or they used to filter this tea and all by taking the clean cloth. From that, they used to pour the things whatever they want to filter it. So that is it. And in school laboratory, students use filter paper to remove insoluble impurities from liquid. So filter paper is also available nowadays. With that, we can do this filtration. Next, boiling. The filter water is not pure and it is not safe for drinking. So only we are filtering it, but still what they are saying, it is not safe for drinking. So what we have to still there will be germs present in that water. So in order to remove that germs which are there in the water, we have to boil the water so that whatever the germs and bacteria is there, that will die when we keep the water boiling. It may contain bacteria and germs which cause diseases. By boiling the water, harmful germs and bacteria are killed. So we can kill the germs and all those things by using this boiling. Now, last thing is chlorination. So what is meant by chlorination? See, children, you might have observed at your homes also. When they will release the drinking water, sometimes when you smell it, you will get a certain type of smell, that is the chlorine smell. So how you will get that chlorine smell? So in order to clean the water, okay, the municipalities and all the DHMC people, what they will do, they will drop the chlorine tablets or the chlorine water in the water which they are supplying, so that it kills the germs in that. So whenever we'll get the rains and all, and floods, all those things, when such type of calamities will occur, what will happen to the groundwater? That becomes that is disturbed by this weather conditions. So we will get the mud water. So in order to overcome all such situations, in order to purify the water, they will keep this chlorination process. That is a chlorine tablet they will mix up in the water. That is called chlorination. See, chlorination is the way to kill the germs and bacteria. It is the process of adding chlorine tablets to the water. So the chlorine tablets are available in the market. So this is the process by which they will clean the water. In modern purifying plants, they use ultraviolet light to kill bacteria, and reverse osmosis method is also used to purify the water. So ultraviolet method and the reverse osmosis. So RO water we will say. So this is another process through which we can clean the water. So these are all the things which are involved in order to clean the water. That is the boiling, filtration, segmentation, decantation. These are all the process through which we can clean the